Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mr. Pick Me and the Manhater show. I am your host, Regan, aka the Manhater, even though I don't hate men. And this is
Mr. Pick Me, even though I've already been picked.
Do you know why that intro was so good, listeners? Because Chesko was coughing that whole time and was muted.
Can I ask you a question? How long do I have to hold on to this leaf my daughter gave me?
I hold on to everything forever.
She walked into my office. She was like, "Dad, I got you this just for you." And normally she'll do that with lots of stuff, and I'll be like, okay. And then she'll forget it exists. She came in like 3 days later and was like, "Oh, good, you still have the leaf." And I was like, "Oh no."
Yeah. That's exactly.
This is like apparently got to keep on to this thing.
You don't want to get caught having thrown away something they gave you.
We got in big trouble once because obviously they're extra schoolwork and stuff. Like, what do you do with it? You don't. We're not going to hold on to like the 75 papers they bring home a week.
Save it all.
we save like specific things.
I should be more specific. Yeah.
So we're very specific. We save like the art.
Yes.
And things like that. But like all like the worksheets and shit. Like
that's when they get older and you're like, whatever. Yeah.
And so we threw them all out, and it was like the garbage was full or the recycling was full one week, and so it was on top. But it was like so much in there that I just kind of shoved it in there without thinking. And we left for school, and she was like, "Dad, why are my papers in there?" And I was like,
"That literally happened on Bluey."
Oh,
that
no,
exact scenario.
I don't know how that happened.
But then he's like, "Oh well, the papers that go in the blue bin get recycled, and then kids can draw more drawings on them, so they have a new life."
Yeah. I was not that quick. I was just like, "Oh no, I don't know what happened here.
Who did that?
There must have been a ghost or a goblin that threw it in there.
You've got goblins in the house. Oh no,
I do. That's better, right? I'm going to tell you that there are real goblins that exist in our house that are stealing your papers.
Can I tell you something bizarre? Sure. Also, if you hear weird noises, we're both coughing, and Chesko's 3D printer is working in the background, and it sounds like a film-style sound effect of a gust of wind. So, just so you know, my sister saw Gremlins at too young of an age, like one of those secret, like, hid behind the couch so she could catch it.
I'm not going to judge. I saw Nightmare on Elm Street when I was 5.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
No, I just mean she was too young to watch it. And
mine was because I had a bad father. So, different circumstances.
Different strokes for different folks.
I was like, hey, he's fine. As I had nightmares for the next...
Well, that's what happened. She had nightmares for like years that there was a troll that lived in the grocery store. Because I guess she was so little, she didn't know what she was watching. So she's like, oh, those are trolls. And so literally for years, she had this reoccurring... She's probably like, please stop sharing my information. She had this reoccurring nightmare of a troll that lived in the grocery store that would come out and get you.
All right.
I just meant because you were talking about goblins.
No, I wasn't judging you.
You can literally, like, kids will hold on to things and it will have weird consequences.
My worst was Chucky came out right when My Buddy dolls were big. And so every time I go to my buddy, I'd be like, I was staring at that bad boy like, what is, he's going to...
Don't you dare.
He's coming for me. I don't know. I saw all the scary movies growing up, and it affected me as a child. There was a certain point in my life where scary movies stopped making me scared. I don't know what it is. I think it might have been like when my brain finally accepted that ghosts aren't real. Like that when I finally clicked over to actual skeptic versus like it sounds about right. I don't know. I can't remember what year it was, but like literally. The only things that I find like scary now are like episodes where, or not episodes, but like shows where it's like real, like it could be real.
Yeah,
it's not like this. It's not like it. Or I'm not worried about a clown from space.
That is real.
Like a magic clown from space being able to, or from another dimension, whatever. I forgot the exact explanation. That is going to come down. That doesn't scare me. But like there was an episode of
Are You Afraid of the Dark? Oh.
No, well, yeah, that too. But Supernatural. That was like where there was like these people that were like living in the walls of his house and like that were like, and it turns out they weren't Supernatural. It was just people. And I don't remember. Yeah, and that one, I was like, oh, okay, this was very creepy because I could totally see something like that happening.
You know what twist? And then we'll get to anything that has to do with this episode. Did you ever see? I saw this. I think I might have been an adult when this came out. The Boy.
No.
So The Boy is a scary movie. Who is in it? She plays Maggie on The Walking Dead, I think.
Okay.
Anyways, so the whole this is a spoiler. If you want to watch The Boy, please don't listen to this.
Fast forward 20 seconds if you don't want to hear this boy spoiler.
For The Boy. But basically the whole thing is she goes to babysit this child in England for a summer, like nanny it while the parents are away. And the parents are significantly older when she gets there, which you're like, oh, that's but like older. Like grandparent age. And then she goes in to meet the child. He's like, this is Brahms. And it's a doll.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, you're insane. Okay.
Yeah.
I got it. So then she's like, whatever, I'll just make this money. She's like trying to get away from her evil ex. And so she is babysitting and like shit starts moving and things are happening. And you're like, this is a haunted doll, or like the soul of their son is in the doll or something weird. You very much think the doll is possessed by the spirit of this boy. And this is not a good boy, by the way. Homicidal boy. And then her ex comes and finds her in England and is going to take her away. And she like asks for help from Brahms. And long story short, this mother chucker bursts through the walls because it's a grown man. It's the boy. It's the evil boy has been living in the walls and is just a grown man who's been moving the doll around. And I was like, oh, hell no. I was like,
See,
absolutely
that's
not.
Freaky, though. That's freaky.
It's so freaky. He has a doll mask on. Apparently, allegedly, I'm not sure if this is true. Allegedly, people have said that the actor was actually kind of attractive. And so they added the doll face because people were like, oh, okay, Brahms, like go in my walls. But because he's built. Like, I don't know why I guess they wanted him to be a physical threat. But he's like a built man in a green sweater with like chest hair who's kind of, as you know, lesbian opinion here, but he looked attractive under the mask. Anyways, but it was like, to me, I was like, that's fucking horrifying. Because you've just, like as a woman, you've just come to terms with the fact that there's a demented doll, like a haunted ghost. It's a motherfucking creeper in the wall. Who's been just, and she finds a doll in his secret room. Like, it's like a stuffed up, it's like he stole her dress and there's a wig. And like he's been, Lord knows what, with the fake version of her in the walls.
Wow. All right. So there we go. There's the key to a scary movie is people living in walls. That's what it is. I agree.
People coming out, just like
my... There was a movie. Wasn't it like called The People in the Walls? Or there was a scary movie
there's been a couple like movies. Well, and that like one of the scariest... I was definitely a Are You Afraid of the Dark kid? Was when... There was this goopy...
The People in the Walls was a movie.
Well, it was not that one, but... Oh, there you go. There was this goopy, like guy that like went through the pools... And he would like come through like the vent in the pool or like the at the bottom of the filter or whatever it is, and he would like come in and kill you and then like goop around. I was like, hell no. Yeah. That one scared the crap out of me because I'm like, I'm gonna be in a pool and the goopy guy's gonna get me. But it's people coming into things they shouldn't be in.
I was younger at that point enough that stuff still, like all of those still scared me. I loved them. That's Snick at Night, Saturday Night Nickelodeon.
Is that when it was playing?
That wasn't originally when it came out. I don't know if you're younger than me, so it might have been different time.
I wasn't allowed to watch it. I was behind the couch.
Okay. I was there for like the original Are You Afraid of the Dark when it came out, like debuted.
I probably wasn't then.
Let me see when it came out.
But I was literally like, I would hear the music and my older siblings watching it, and I was like, like sneaking around. And then I had nightmares. And this has nothing to do with our show.
1992.
Oh yeah, no, I was.
Yes, I was.
I was a baby. I was literally a baby.
I was 10 years old when that came out. I was like the target audience for it.
Crazy.
Of you'd watch TGIF on Friday and then Snick on Saturday night.
Snick at night.
I don't know how we had it. We didn't have cable.
I don't know.
But Nickelodeon was a cable. I don't understand how we had it.
You saw it somehow.
I saw it somehow. The pinball one was the one that got me.
Oh, I don't remember the pinball.
You saw that? It was like this guy that like they got stuck in a pinball.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Oh, did you ever see, I feel like this might have been a Twilight Zone, but it could have been Are You Afraid of the Dark, where there's like an earworm thing and like it would get in your ear, it would crawl and they had these little caterpillar shit and they would put it in your ear and crawl and eat your brain and then take you over.
No.
I was fucking terrified of things getting in my ears after that.
So I was thinking, I'm thinking of like a babblefish from the number 42. I can think of the most important secret of the universe, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, I that one got. I was like, ooh, I never. I'm like, stay out of my ears.
They had that in Star Trek too.
Must be a common
It's a creepy thing. A worm
people in walls and things in your ears.
There we go. Sticking stuff in your ear, like a worm crawling in your ear, sounds kind of scary.
No, absolutely not.
All right.
Anyways, so what are we talking about today that's not any of the things we've talked about thus far?
Did we decide based on those two that I showed you, or did we just say, yeah, let's do it?
Let's do them both.
Okay.
So what are we talking about?
We're going to talk about bad husbands and body shaming. Theme song.
It's time. It's time. It's time. It's time. Mr. Pick Me and Manhater to talk all the shit. So grab your popcorn, thank me later. Don't want to miss it.
Yeah. So this first one, I'll send you the video so we can put it here. Play here. For people, but for people that are not watching, because it's not a spoken one, it's a visual one. It's a woman. She's wearing like an exercise kind of outfit, like a kind of not tube top, but like a crop top, like a very smaller crop top. He's like, the husband's like giving her a shirt to put on over it, and he says, when he asks you to put a shirt on, you're feeling slut shamed. I'm feeling loved. First off, the irony and the funny thing and the performativeness of the fact that if she really cared about the world not seeing her in that outfit, like
why would she post herself?
Why would you put a video of yourself in the outfit covering yourself up? Like there's that's to me that makes this such a I'm like, at first I was like, was this meant to be like a joke?
I know, you do have to take a beat and look at it real close.
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of? It's the same shit as when women will get on the internet who are clearly influencers and have a business of making content and be like, women shouldn't work. And women should only then what are you doing here? Get off the internet, girl.
And she's clearly making more money than her husband.
I know. Start making that sourdough. Get into the kitchen.
Well, I think that's why it's also important. We'll get back to the video in a second, but to like what you brought up, why it's important to talk about even content creation as a job, and what it goes into it and the work that goes into it. Because I do think that the narrative of saying, "Oh, this isn't a real job. You're not doing real work. You're not doing anything," it feeds into this notion that women that are working, because there are more women creators like that. Demographically, there are more women that are influencers and creating content online. At least at one point there was. I'm assuming that I can Google the stat if I need to. But I think that's part of it. Why it's downplayed. Anything that is considered to be the realm of women, it has to be downplayed. It's not real. It's not a real job. It's not tough work. It's not hard work.
Well,
right?
It's so lucrative. That's the other part is like, I don't think everybody understands like to have the followings that they have with the responsiveness that they have with the brand deals that they're doing, creators like that, it's a full-time job. Like they're absolutely working all the time.
I was right, by the way. It said 72%, the stat I'm finding, of influencers are women.
Nice. The lifestyle that they portray and the things they tell women to do is not actually the life that they lead. Right. And oftentimes they are participating in the rights and privileges that, feminism has fought to gain for them. They're using that to then tell people, oh, well, you don't need those rights, actually, which I think is pretty ironic.
It reminds me of this false line reality of like what is real versus what they say is happening. Sure. It reminds me of I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I only watched some clips of it, of the Into the Manosphere documentary. Have you seen it?
I have seen clips of it. I'm a little bit torn about it, but I know what it is.
I haven't watched it. I don't have any strong opinions about it until I watch it. I am going to force myself to watch it. But one of the clips I saw, or two of the clips I saw, was what the guys when they're around their wives or their long-term partners, and they're like, "Well, I could cheat," and they're like, it's all like they're like, "Oh," and she'd accept it, and you could tell she's like,
"No." She's like, "That's not what you say in private."
She knows, and that's you could tell that this was like. What's funny is like she knows that that's the business that they have to say this to feed their incel, misogynist fan base. But even in that sphere, you could tell they were like, "I wouldn't." You like, no, I'm leaving if that's if you do that.
What I found fascinating, my objections with it are solely because the idea that these are new thoughts, he's diving into something new, and how men now are responding to a documentary made by a man when they have not listened to a word by women. Like women have been told they're exaggerating. Women have been screaming from the rooftops what's been going on, particularly from the manosphere, what they've been, the abuse they've been forced to withstand online and whatever else. And now that a man is saying it, they're like, "Did you guys see this?" I've seen at least 10 videos from men being like, "I had no idea this was going on." And you're like, what? So
How?
On the flip side of that, I don't think a woman in that position would have ever gotten the footage that he got, because I don't think they would have revealed. There was a very a strong feeling of, I think these dudes thought it's Louis Theroux. Is that right?
Yeah, Louis Theroux.
Okay. I think they thought there was a quote unquote bro code. And I think his nonchalant attitude helped them believe that. Whereas they were saying stuff that I honestly think they thought would hit the cutting room floor.
Right.
That they would where they're like, "Oh no, it's fine." I remember Myron Gaines. I saw this clip where probably what you're talking about, where he was talking with his girlfriend at the time, who they're not together now. Shocker.
Did they break up since that was filmed? Okay.
Yep. And it's basically that they're participating in monogamy one way, which is that he gets to sleep with whoever and she can't.
Right.
And he's like, "Well, we don't like." He's so gung ho about it, and then she enters frame, and then all of a sudden he's a lot more relaxed. He's like, "Well, we might do that. We don't know. We're like we could in the future." And you can tell he's like tripping over himself to not get in trouble with his girlfriend. And there's things that Louis says there where he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Should I not have brought that up?" He's like, No, it's fine. It's cool. It's not a big deal. That I don't think those guys expected him to use all that footage, because they don't use all that footage. Like for those guys, like they're on and they're off. And so the footage they show is only when they're on. And I feel like there was a false perception that that's how Louis was going to be, where like they could say these things to him kind of in the side and that wasn't going to be used. And that was false. And I think now they're really pissed, because it really highlighted the pageantry, basically, of the manosphere, which is that these aren't who these men are. It's a grift. And so for that reason, I think only a man was ever going to be able to portray that, because I don't think those men would have trusted a woman in that way. Like, I don't think they would have had those off-the-cuff kind of comments, because they are so performative. But anyways, what the fuck were we talking about with that?
No, I think the point of the disconnect from real life versus what goes on in these videos.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's they are not these dudes. They don't even believe these things. And it's the same thing with these influencers. Like, they don't live the lives they're telling you to do. They aren't these like shy homesteaders who never leave the house. They're like, "Women, you should be more quiet," as they talk to millions of people online. It's just like it's this wild hypocrisy. And like the woman you were showing, I'm looking at her page now, and it's like she's wearing a sports bra. And she's clearly religious, which is not a shocker, because that's a thing that the whole cover-up thing is very common.
And also, she has videos all over her page wearing
a sports bra.
Yeah. So it's not like it's actually
This doesn't happen to her. That's the thing.
Right.
Like, he's working, the video is him working on his car and then pulling out a shirt, which is bizarre, because where did that shirt come from? And then, "I'm his prize, not his possession," is the caption. That ideology is so strange to me. Like, a prize is still a possession.
And like both, I was like, neither of those. It's not like one of those is counter to the other.
You're not a human in either. You're not a partner. You're not an equal. You're not a peer.
I prefer to be objectified in this way.
I want to be the award. I'm not just an object. I'm a fancy, good object.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's like, oh, I'm okay with it pushing this idea so that women who are in these controlling, domineering relationships where their partner is deciding what they wear, what they do, who they hang out with, etc., so that I can justify, even though I clearly don't accept that in my life.
100%.
Yeah, I'm comfortable oppressing others, just not, as long as I'm not being oppressed.
This is not what she's doing. Like, she's clearly comfortable being in this exact outfit. The pinned video is her in a bra. Like a sports bra, which, like, there is no problem with that. But when you're saying that your husband doesn't force you to throw on a shirt, so all you're doing is, like, it's like more virtue signaling.
Virtue signaling, yeah. It's absolutely that.
This feels like trying to attract men. I don't know how many women would be pleased. Oh my God, I've watched this reel too many times. Oh my God, my algorithm's going to be a mess. Oh God. Okay, hopefully that didn't do too much damage. It's going to be like, oh, so you're into making women put on clothes and controlling them. I don't ever think control is love. I think it's very, very dangerous.
Absolutely not.
To push that idea. And like, again, it's always like big picture because they'll do like this small thing, but then when you push it outward, it is the idea that your husband gets control over all these aspects of your life, and that's because he loves you. It's not control. It's not abuse.
I care about you.
I care about you.
The funniest thing, too, if you were to like buy into her logic, obviously we've critiqued it. We think it's absurd. But if he says that to me, I feel loved. Being as he's not saying it to her because her entire channel has her. Does that mean he doesn't love her?
Oh my God!
No, it's different it's different here because he respects me. Is there something there?
Yeah. Again, it's a hustle. Like, I hope everyone can recognize it at this point. Like, pay attention.
Expecting like any sort of moral consistency is absurd.
There was a recent one that kind of duped me a little bit. There was a woman, and she presented like feminist to me, but she had like chop bangs, straight across bangs.
Sure.
And so I was like, oh, she's a feminist. But she was talking about the fact that if you hate women and children, that's not feminism, that's internalized misogyny. And she got a ton of views. I saw that video and I was like, yeah, I agree. Yeah. I totally agree with that. If you hate it just to hate it.
Yeah. There was a psychologist I saw that made a really psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, somebody in the psych industry that said that he was like, and this is a queer black man that made this saying it, that hating kids is a type of bigotry, and I don't think we talk about it enough.
Hold on, because there's a twist.
Anyways, that was related to that.
But yeah, I think not wanting kids, not wanting to have kids,
completely different situation.
Not liking being around kids. I've known plenty of people. That's totally fine.
Different. That is completely different. But like, that is not what we were talking about.
And like hating, like there are people who like hate everything about motherhood, who make mothers feel bad. Like there's like social sanctions that a lot of mothers face that I do think is part of internalized misogyny.
So I just want to be clear. There is a very big difference. What I'm talking about is when people say like, oh, kids shouldn't be allowed on airplanes, kids shouldn't be allowed at restaurants.
Right.
You are not entitled to a child-free world, right? You are absolute. I've made probably a dozen videos applauding people for the responsible decision to not bring kids into a home where they're not wanted or loved or supported. That is a responsible decision.
Yes.
If you know that your life is not one for kids, that does not mean you have the right to dictate to other people that they cannot have children, that they cannot exist in public spaces with their kids. That pisses me off so much. And that shouldn't be a controversial opinion either.
No, I don't think it is. But I think, in the same vein, so many people get shit for being child-free when I'm like, unless you want to get desperately and badly, don't have one. That's my opinion. Because I think about how much, like, being a parent, if I did not want this child so much, it's so difficult. Anyways, this is not even the point.
Yeah. This is us giving parentheses of, once again, to justify it entire,
So I saw that video and my assumption was like, oh, that's a good take. That's a feminist take. It ends up this woman is like a weird, like I shouldn't say weird, but is like anti-birth control, like only you should take your temperature to know when you're going to get pregnant. Like all these things that are like not as reliable, and like shaming birth control, like
the rhythm method and everything.
She's very like homesteady, very that side. And so I was like, damn, because how she presented in that video was not at all what she really says on her page. And that was like, that's one of the first times I've had a reverse one like that. Where I was like, oh shit, you're pushing this to like ease people into the way that you believe things. Which that's what a lot of this is. When you see these things, they seem like this one I don't think is a reasonable take. I think it's very clear what's going on. But there are a lot of influencers that will put on like kind of like lukewarm takes to get people aligned with them, or to like get people to maybe follow them, and then they start pushing.
Well, I mean, that's the entire manosphere. The entire manosphere is pipeline content to extremist beliefs, right? There's a reason why you'll see 12 videos that are like, it sucks to be dumped. It sucks to get turned down. It hurts your feet. Like I'll go through these guys' pages, and like 3/4 of their things aren't unreasonable. They're like, hey, if you want to work, it really is good for you to go to the gym and blah, blah, blah. It's not like, it is. It can be good for you if you want to work out at the gym.
Right.
If you want to do certain things, working on yourself, none of that is the negativity. But then it'll be like this random video in the middle that'll be like, and so white genocide is blah, 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 blah. And then they'll move forward, and people watching it'll be like, whoa, what was that?
What was that?
Anyways, okay, back to the stuff I agree with.
Right.
Honestly, interestingly enough, that's fucking exactly what Scott Galloway does, just in a different way, where he'll say very reasonable liberal take, where I'm like, I agree with 75% of what you said. Also, isn't childbirth weird? Isn't it weird? The husbands don't do anything for the first 6 months. I didn't. Like, you should go to gay clubs to pick up on women.
That one was bad.
Yeah, but he throws in like, and I have a whole list on a word sheet somewhere where I was like listing all, because whenever someone says, no, you're taking them out of context, and I was like, all right, what about this? Well, I mean, 2 things. Okay, here's all these other horrific things. Anyways, I don't want to make this about Scott Galloway again. I talk about him enough on my own page about how it annoys me. But there is no difference. Right, it's the exact same shit where they package these beliefs in a very reasonable, it's a very nice brown paper bag package that you could buy it at Macy's, and then you open it up and you're like, oh god, pile of shit, right?
Angry pile of shit.
That was the worst analogy I've ever done.
No, it was very beautiful imagery from Chesko.
You know how one buys brown paper packages from Macy's? You know how that's as one does? When you go there and you buy these,
and you don't know what's in it.
You don't know what's in it. You just buy these surprise packs, right? As a normal human being who shops at Macy's and at department stores.
Mm-hmm. Isn't Macy's
we all
shut
shop
down?
At malls now. We all go to I don't know, is it JCPenney's? Woolworths?
Yes. Flawless, truly flawless. Yeah, no, I think I haven't been fooled like that in a long. I didn't engage with the content, but when I saw that take, I was like, oh yeah, that's good. But I was like, oh, ew, what? And like, I just hate when someone throws something out in the hopes to mislead you into something else. Right. And I think something that a lot of us have the benefit of, if you've been online a lot, or a lot of neurodivergent people have this, but like intense pattern recognition. Like, I think you and I are in this camp where it's like, I'll see somebody say something like, oh, okay, so you're a manosphere person. Like, oh, okay, so this is this. I don't know that everybody else either knows the signs or has gone through enough content to pick it up so quickly. And so things that I think are obvious to a lot of us that are secretly red pill or pink pill now, like trying to kind of like secretly get people into misogyny and gender norm, whatever. I think a lot of people don't off the bat pick up on, and that's why they're so dangerous. And like, yeah, it's definitely really dangerous to be saying to women, He does that because he loves you. Because you know the argument is then going to be, you're the prize, so other men shouldn't look at you. So you're being punished because of what men are doing. You need to adjust your behavior to the men around you, because God forbid the men around you ever change their bad behavior. It's always got to be the woman who's adjusting. And how modesty is the answer to, men being inappropriate or making advances at women in public places.
And it goes back to the same thing too, like, because they'll also then the next time it'll be, I don't think you should hang out with that group of friends anymore. And then it's like, oh, I don't think you should hang out with women or men in general. There should never be a man around you. And then even like it's by the end of that pipeline, you're like not even able to see your family anymore. Like there's been so many instances you see this where it's a very slow thing where if they tried doing any of the things they end up doing at the end, it would in the beginning that would be absurd, but it's a very like little oh well he's doing because he loves me. Right. And that's justification for so many horrific things. Like we don't need to get too trauma heavy, but those words have been used to justify some really horrible things.
Now that I think about it, I feel like so many of these influencers are using an abusive tactic because it's like, it is that little thing where it's like, oh shit, well, I'm just going to do this small thing at first. And now that we've done that, well, let me show you this view. Let me try it's like they slowly are, it's like the slow boil. If they throw you into the pot in a boil, like is it crabs or lobsters in the scenario? But if it's a slow boil, you don't notice it. If it's boiling hot, when you hit the water, you're going to get out. But like a lot of these influencers do use the slow boil tactic, because the thing that you need to know is those ideologies are lucrative. Because also, as much as manosphere people are selling you content, I think a lot of like the tradwife content, like they're selling you their videos, they're making money off videos, they make money off courses, they make money off merch, but those ideas are so restrictive that when you're in it, you need to be in that bubble. There has to be content in that bubble to stay in it. If you were getting views from everybody, you probably wouldn't stay there. Like, so there's a function of it, because once they get you in the bubble, you're going to consume more of their content, because you have to be really deep within that ideology in order to stay there. And so it's just kind of sick, because it's like they get you into this cycle where they know that you're going to need to keep watching to stay where you are. You're going to need, because there's going to be like your own internal feelings telling you something's not right. Other people noticing like, hey, he doesn't treat you well, or hey, he's really controlling. And so they know you're going to keep watching my stuff, because that's the way that this is. You have to keep being inundated with this kind of gaslighting content. A lot of these
things are just giant MLMs too. Like the manosphere is basically just an MLM.
I mean, it is an MLM.
I mean, literally, it's just it's kind of like it fits the diagnostic criteria, right? Like it's and that's all it is. But they were like, hey, we can make money off of male insecurity and male fragility.
Nobody hates men more than the manosphere guys. They bank on it quite literally. They bank on the fact that you're insecure. They bank on the fact that they can sell you courses to get women. And when you don't get women, because you won't, not with the things they're saying, they can say, oh, well, women suck. That's why.
If I say that we as men are capable of being better, I hate men. I guess I hate men in the status quo. I do hate a lot of guys in the status quo that are willing to subscribe to these old world ways of I provide money, you provide literally everything else, that have not been willing to. I believe men are able to. Yeah, I believe men are able to evolve. Like the idea, and I think it's part of my issue. I keep bringing up Scott Galloway again, though, too. But I think that's what's so frustrating is that's the notion of him and all the other manosphere people, which he is a part of, is just, it's not how do we actually become better men? It's how do we fit this old mold of what was a good man better? Right? How do we make that more popular again?
I also saw a couple videos today. I can't remember who they were from. If I remember, I'll put it in the notes. But there was a video that was talking about the fact that there's like research now that a lot of the younger men are subscribing to like old ideologies and like traditional roles and that women need to obey, like those type of ideas. And that a lot of it seems to stem from the fact that, so they're like losing privileges and capital. And they're blaming that on women, and that's why women need to be controlled. Like them making less money, they can't handle the fact that that's happening, or that they're not thriving or succeeding, and they're equating that to the fact that, well, women have equal rights. It's like,
I have an essay on that on Substack I wrote like a year ago. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. Well, there's studies. Yeah, there's some studies, I guess, that have just come out about it, and it's so true, because it's like,
talk about seeing patterns ahead of time, right?
Look at you.
There you go.
Recognizing that pattern.
Yeah.
But it's this idea that they cannot handle the fact that, like, you are failing in the system. That is essentially set up for you. You are failing. And it's like, well, the problem must be the women. It's like, no. And the other thing that I think infuriates men, I don't think a lot of men, especially like from the older generations, I don't think they thought women would succeed like they do. Just like I don't think they thought people of color would succeed. Like even when given equality, I honestly think they thought, but we'll still be ahead because they're not as good as us. And now they're seeing that given even close to more equal treatment and equal opportunity. And we're not even there. We're clearly not there yet. You know, women are outpacing men. Like people of color are getting opportunities to the point that now they're like, well, no DEI, please, because they're recognizing, maybe we aren't just the best on our own.
Can I say the worst thing about it? So there's a stat that a person that I'm not going to mention again brings up all the time. 60% of people graduating from college are now women. Like, and that number is rising. And like under the age of 30, women are. There's a lot of studies that will show women are actually making slightly more, but usually it's about equal to men. Showing that, like, you know, women are, despite, and his point is like, despite all of these like educational negatives for men who are like not going to college now, and an education system that's set up not for not to help boys. It's a whole thing. I can go on for a while, but that'll be a whole episode. There's, you know, now we're actually seeing that our boys don't have the same privileges as people like when I was young. And I was like, did you hear what you just said? You just said women are educating more, getting more degrees, starting more businesses, doing all these other positive things. Yet, and this is another stat he throws in there that just gets brushed under, once you hit 30, it becomes disparate again, because once women have children, is what it is then all of a sudden then they stop, they end up getting pushed out of the workforce. They end up not getting promotions. They end up not getting pulled on for higher positions. And that's what pisses me off when people are always like, well, no, if you look at people at the same company working, it's actually not that much different. It's a matter of the higher paying companies are not hiring the women because of those situations. There is still sexism. That's why you look at a bigger thing than just single companies.
Also, the other thing that kills two things come in. Yeah. One, it's the idea that it's normal and great when men were doing better than women. There really wasn't a problem. There's no problem with that when they got better jobs, got paid more, got more respect, had more opportunities. That wasn't a problem. It's only a problem when women start to outpace men,
or even when they're equal. This is a crisis.
Right.
Men are in crisis right now because women and men under 30 are making roughly the same amount of money. This is a crisis.
What is this if not misogyny?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, women are outpacing us in any way, shape, or form. This must be because there is no world in their minds in which, just solely based on their own abilities, a woman is outpacing a man. It has to be a crisis. It has to be a problem. It has to be a failure.
It takes 60% of women receiving degrees versus 40% of men to get to an equal playing field. And it's still not equal until the age of 30. once again, because we still have all these structural issues that punish women for having families or choosing to have children. Sorry, I don't want families can be more than just children, but choosing to have children. And yet it's a fucking crisis and we need to do something. And that's what people don't, that's where the pattern comes in, right? The underlying theme is we need to get back to the point where men are the ones in power, where men are the ones at all stages of life dominating every field.
Because why is that a problem? If that historically has been true for men forever, why is it a problem that women are doing it? Like, when the sole difference is women are not being held back. That's the thing. It's the same thing with people of color. It's not that they're being given extra. It's that we are no longer withholding rights and opportunities. That's what it is. We're not, and we're not even there yet. We haven't even the playing field, but we've evened it closer. Like, it's closer now.
I think part of it, and this goes back, I was on Suzanne Lambert's podcast, Mean But True, and I said, like, a lot of the male loneliness crisis is a self-inflicted wound. But I think you go back to this too. I think with education is a perfect example. Like, the study after study, education is the one consistent thing that helps people get out of poverty, right? Sure. It's not a guarantee. Right. It does not mean there's a lot of people that get degrees and still are in poverty. That is not a guarantee. Sure. But structurally, it's the one consistent thing that helps people earn more money and climb to another wealth class in in this country specifically. That's been the only consistent thing. What happened is, I think for so long, it became clear that men didn't need to do the work to still get those privileges, still get jobs, still make that money. That now now it became the norm. Like, oh, you don't need to go to college, man. And so it becomes this talking point within this the manosphere kind of culture of, like, telling guys, no, you shouldn't go to school. You need to start a business. You need to do X, Y, and Z. But now that our culture is shifting, where that's not enough. It's like, oh, fuck. And yet it's shifting to the point, once again, where things are equal.
Right. But they don't like it.
That's the crisis. And I'm like, do you not understand how so we can evolve as men? It's maddening to me, because it's not like something bad is happening. The only thing that's happening is, like, in this case, we're talking women versus men. Women aren't being held back anymore, and they're thriving. They're thriving. That's what the problem is. That's literally what they're objecting to. Because that's the difference. It's not that men aren't being held back in any way. There's nothing been taken from men. If anything, arguably, despite the fact that we're thriving more, there have been rights taken from women. There's nothing that's happened to men. Yeah, they can also still go to college.
Yeah.
Right? That's the whole point.
Well, it's like, I was just thinking about this the other day. Like, when you look at I don't want to get too far out of my lane, but like, you look at DEI, and, like, this has always pissed me the fuck off. They literally had to set things into place to force people to not be racist. That is what it is. This is, like, after forever of racism happening to people of color, not being given opportunities, bosses seeing the race of the applicants and throwing them in the trash. Like, literally that happens. That was put into place to try and balance all this negative shit that's been happening to people of color. Like, that's all that is an attempt at evening the playing field. It has never been about giving them more than everybody else. There is no fucking way, after the hundreds of years of things that we've done to people of color as a nation, that we will ever even the playing field. This is a baby tiny step at evening, right? It's not you must hire these less qualified people. Right.
You must be willing to consider these just as qualified.
Yes, you must also look at, and let's be real, when we look at, like, education and the barriers to education when you look at I mean, statistically, you can look at it, the barriers towards people of color with education, with opportunity, in sport, like, there's so many things. So for someone to get, and same thing with women, like, to get to where you are, you have to be better. You have to even be considered to get there. You have to overcome things that the white cis man does not, right? So it's like, by the time you get there, you probably are a little bit better.
Right.
Because if you're equal to them, then you're probably a little bit better. That's That's my anyways.
The only way you can look with that, if you actually like read what DEI is, right? If you look at even what affirmative action, like any of these policies that were created to counter social inequality or structural inequalities in our society, if you actually look at what they do and what they say, the only way to be against them is if you believe that white people are inherently better than other races.
Well,
right? If you believe that men are better, inherently smarter than women. Like that's the only way. Like once again, I'm not saying based on what the rhetoric online is by conservative spaces. If you actually read the policies, and as someone like as a professor, I go through trainings of these policies all the fucking time, so I'm very familiar with them. There's nothing controversial in any of them. It's just they're put in plaque, and if anything, places with these policies in place end up getting higher quality work because they're hiring the best people for the job now, as opposed to this small quality of people that their dads knew each other or that had connections at the company from previous generations.
It just makes me so mad because I'm like, they're acting like, oh, they're just giving things. It's like, no, you just can't prevent them now. Like, that's what it is. You can't stop them based on their race. Like, and it drives me insane because, like, we are seeing the effects, like, with women as well, of what happens when they are not being held back the ways that they have been before and how they thrive under those circumstances. Like, and now they're like, whoa, wait a second. When I said I wanted to be equal, I didn't want you to be doing better than me. I didn't think you would ever have more skills than me. I didn't think you'd ever be better at this job than me. That didn't even enter my mind.
They never speak out about like legacy admits. Right. Like, the colleges. They're like, well, that's different. Right.
That's history.
The definition of like what they're claiming DEI is. Is what legacy admits are, right? It's people getting in that do not have, and honestly, it's what the status quo is in business, where people are being hired on because, once again, family connections, because of whether it's your actual family or friendships, or maybe you went to a fraternity with this person, right? It's all of the stuff that they're claiming DEI is causing is what the status quo does.
You remember this? Sorry, this might be way off, but we'll have to let it go. You remember Stockton Rush, the guy who did Ocean Gate?
No.
The submarine.
Let me look.
The submarine that went to the Titanic and exploded.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Wasn't that Ocean Gate?
I didn't know that was his name. Yeah. Sorry.
Stockton Rush is his name.
I was stuck on Stockton Rush.
Yeah, it's a very white. Well, his family had 2 signers of the Constitution, and he was a fucking legacy. And his grades are interesting. And it's like, and then like he is a prime example of it, where it's like everybody just tells you, yes, you can do that. And he would just say things and people would be like, okay. And people would object and he would financially crush those people. And so he ends up in a horrible situation that everybody who knew what was up but didn't have power to stop it said was going to happen. And he did it. That was... For those of you who don't know, Stockton Rush did Ocean Gate. What was it called? The Cyclops? What was it? No, what was the next one called? Will you look it up? Will you look up what the Stockton Rush is? It was originally the Cyclops. The Titan? Is that what it was?
Titan Submersible.
Titan.
Yeah.
So he was someone who thought he was smarter than he was, had this idea, decided that carbon fiber was going to be the right thing to make a sub out of, even though everybody knew it is not the right material. That's why nobody did it, because it wasn't a good idea. But it was like his privilege made him think he was the smartest boy around, and everything he did, he was the smartest. And it's like that is what this leads to, like this privileged idea. It's like that's an extreme example where he ends up taking down millionaires who also think nothing can happen to them because of their privilege. Nothing has. So that everybody thinks they're going to be fine. Like that's the ideal. That's the extreme showing of like what that type of ideology does to people, where it's like I'm the most privileged, but like this is a small scale of that, right? Where it's like, I was just thinking because he was a legacy. He was an intense legacy. Every time I hear legacy, I think of Stockton Rush. But so we see that here in the sense of like, it's like, well, no, I should get to do what I want to do. And if anything is intervening with that, the problem is that, and I should crush it. Like, the problem is not like that women are now doing well, now that they're not being held back. Like, because to me, what you're saying is, oh, we held back women, now we don't. Now they're doing well. We got to fix that. So my assumption is, do you want to hold back women? Because what is the solve then? What more can we give to men? You have given them everything.
And that's the issue is, and this is one thing that always comes up too, is like, there's a difference between a group rising, which would make sense if women have to go through more structurally, why they would, when given equal access, which they still don't have equal access. There's still structural issues that hold women back,
of course,
compared to men. But like, if when given closer to equal access, why they would rise above, because they've had to do that goes for most things in our society. But it literally is, there is no structural things in play. Like Title IX is a perfect example of something that like was put in place because school, I think we talked about this before on the podcast, where like schools had in place laws that said if you got pregnant, you could be kicked out of college. Right, laws that said that there were certain like engineering and certain degrees where less than 5% of the student body was only, or less than 5% of admits were allowed to be women. Right, there was specific, and like sexual assault wasn't required to be investigated on campuses until Title IX. Right, there's all of these very big things that matter, and obviously, I remember somebody. Fucking idiot. Excuse my language. It was trying to argue. Why is that part of Title IX? Because people being assaulted and not being investigated makes them leave college, right? Like, aside from the legal ramifications, because equal access to college also means equal safety, access to safety in college. Anyways, but they have like those were on the books. I don't think people realize often how explicitly what's the word I'm looking for? Explicitly structural these constraints were that stopped women from getting access to the same thing. Sports, obviously, where 99% of the funding would go to male sports programs, things like that. And that's what we even see that with even the sports science. It's still like that. 95% of sports science, I think, was, or something like that. I don't remember the exact statistic. Is still toward what helps men. And you wonder, well, why aren't women catching up as much? Like maybe you look at the actual what our money is going toward. But the whole point is that you have all of these actual explicit discriminatory policies. And once you get rid of those, none of those are there for men. None of those are there for white men. None of those are for straight white men, especially, right? There are still undercurrents of discrimination that exist for anyone that doesn't look and sound like me, right? Those all still exist. They're just not allowed to be as, but that's what Make America Great Again is, right? They're all trying to bring back the time where you could just openly discriminate against people that weren't in your country club growing up and call it a day, because it's upsetting to them that they actually have to hire the best people. They actually have to bring in the best people and not just the people that they like, which unfortunately the people you like is often espoused in your brand of racism, misogyny, etc. Like you hear how many men openly just hate women online. Do you think they're going to bring in a woman for a long-term position at their company? You know, one of those guys that is openly espoused how much they just like can't understand hanging out with women. All women's hobbies are boring. I don't even get how you could be friends with a woman. Oh, yeah, but sure, let's share an office for the next 20 years. Of course you're going to have that be there. Oh, no, I have no policy against not hiring women. It just happens the entire hiring committee is men who don't like women. So, but I'm sure they're going to be objective and looking. It won't be a problem. It won't be a problem at all.
It's frustrating and yet validating to see how they behave, because it's like it's so obvious that they're more upfront than they've ever had to be before. Now that they're saying this, now that they're flat out being like, well, you know, we have stopped withholding rights from you, even though they still are. And you're doing better now. And that's a problem, actually. That's a problem for us. We don't like it. Like when I hear people saying the statistic that women are, how we're outpacing them, you know, with education or in the workforce, or it's more equal in the workforce. And they're saying this again in that negative way, as if this is a negative thing that's happening. When, you know, I can already hear someone online be like, well, if you heard that men were doing that, wouldn't that be wouldn't that be bad if men were outpacing? It's like, Well, that would be because of the structural issues at hand, the ways that we, hold back women,
Right.
but like it's just across the board, like the ways that we punish them for being moms, as you've pointed out. Like there's so many ways that women are held back. So it's like it's because it's uneven. Opportunity is uneven structurally because of the misogyny that goes on, because of the patriarchy. That's why there's an issue. If everything is more equal for everybody and somebody happens to be doing better, that's not a problem. And pretending that it is solely because it's women that happen to be doing better, it's just misogyny. That's all it is. And it's crazy, but it's validating.
Only until the age of 30. The stats still show that once there becomes this huge shift at that point, because that's roughly when the average age when people start having children now. Then there's this huge. So even with all of these shifts that's going on, only till 30 years old, and that's still very young.
And that's still very young.
That is reason enough about why we need a complete overhaul of the system and why it's only men that are suffering. But the reason we hear about it is because when the generations of women that were held back didn't violently have an uprising against men, right? It was like they fought in the courts, they fought in the thing. Same with like you look at the violence obviously does happen sometimes when you look at sometimes that's what it takes to cause some sort of change, but it's when it's so bad, right, that it's so horrifically bad, sometimes violence ends up being the thing that moves the needle. It's not so that what men are getting violent about is equality. That was enough.
Yeah.
Like the notion that they might be behind
for a short amount of time,
for a short period, for less than a decade of time.
They're like, wait,
is enough to cause violent reactions and complete overhauls of institutions, and where every single fucking thing is about how do we help these poor men, right? When it took before we ever got to a point where we decided to make laws helping women, they didn't have the right to vote, right? They literally were required to stay in abusive, like violent marriages. They were all of these other horrific things that existed, like I said, where there were laws on the books that were punishing women for being women, right? Where it took before there was even and it was still a decades-long fight to get any of these things passed. But no. It's for me as a man, the thing that pisses me off is it feels so demeaning in saying that we are not capable of doing better as men, right? That we're just these poor little boys who just don't know any better. We're just what do we do?
I don't even know. It's only ever like used to excuse things for men, like the whole defense of like we need help, like, or it's the same things like weaponized incompetence. Like it's only ever used when they want something in return. Like if you ever were to say that. Like if you ever were to talk to these men and be like, yeah, you're being outpaced by women. Like women are women are better. Like if you ever were to be like, oh, well, you're just not, I have to explain things to you really explicitly because you just don't understand.
Right.
Men are like, what are you talking? How dare you patronize me? But then it's used as an excuse, like weaponized incompetence, or in this case, like, oh, they need help. Then all of a sudden men are cool with being spoken to that way.
Right.
But
only when it's in that very specific, it has to be done in a way that is demeaning to women.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the only way to do it. And I think people misread. Well, like I have a son, right? I want my son to flourish. I would love him to be, but I want him to flourish in a world like in the way that I have flourished in this world, right? I want him to flourish in a way that doesn't require the subjugation of other people. Right. And if you have actual confidence in yourself, if you have an actual ability to do things, you don't need to take power away from others to have success. They know that a lot of these guys are fucking mediocre as shit, though, who decided not to get any education, decided not to do anything, and just try to float by in the way that men could 20 years ago, right? It was just simply easy to just exist as a man and find a wife because she couldn't get a bank account without you 30 or 40 years ago, right? And so you were gonna find someone that would put up with your bullshit and put up with your not doing anything around the house, put up with your whatever it is about it. That's not the world we live in now. And there's two ways to approach it. Either we build better men from the ground up. We raise our boys to acknowledge the reality of the world we live in and try to be better people in it, or we try to push everything back to the way it was when things were, when I was a little boy, when men still had 100% of the power, and it was like on paper, like when it was open, it was okay to be openly discriminatory toward everybody else.
That feels like what we're doing. I mean, that's what I think. That's the shift. That's what we're doing. That's what like the red pill, pink pill, like that's what that post is. We're not getting to the bad husband.
No, we're already.
He's a bad husband, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But like that's what that is. It's the subtle ways of pushing us back to the old ways we used to behave by making
tradwife is literally called tradwife, right? It's traditional. It's the old
It's also like making it seem like it's almost like their violent, aggressive response to women having more rights, to women having better or having the ability to have boundaries, I want to say, because it's not that women didn't have, is that we could not have boundaries. So it's the violent reaction to that, as well as the crippling effects of capitalism, is now being used to like sway women. Oh, wouldn't it be nicer if you were just at home? Wouldn't it be nicer if you didn't have to work? Wouldn't it be nicer if a man took care of you and protected you from these bad incel men?
And that's
the
benevolent sexism of
benevolent misogyny.
Of course it would. I've had conversations with my mom about that, where she worked 2 full-time jobs my entire life. She was a single mom working very, very difficult. And there are times where she'll be like, that would have been nice, because obviously nobody likes working, especially if you're working at a shitty job.
Of course,
right? And so the offer of it, I get why the attraction is there, but if you have to sell your soul for it, right? If you have to turn yourself into a property with no rights and
well, it's also like that's not what it is.
And it's not, and also no choice to. The difference is, I am fully in support of people choose. We've talked about this before. You can choose to live. If you want to be if that's something that you believe brings you joy, I am not the one that's going to tell you no. You can't. That can't be. You can't find happiness that way, right? The point is
that's the point.
The point.
Yeah, that you're not going to do that because no one should have that done to them in any way. Shouldn't be you have to work or you shouldn't. But it's just it's also the fact that that's not the life you're going to lead, and you're not going to lead the influencer life. Most women who are forced into, or some who agree to the tradwife life, are not the polished version of that, are not the influencer version, are not the I can go out to eat whenever I want, I have the money to buy whatever clothes I want. It's like, I'm at home all day by myself. I make every meal. I do every chore. I take care of the kids, usually multiple kids. You don't have help. You're very isolated. That's, again, the hypocrisy of the women who sell this online, because they don't know the crippling effects of what that can be, and that's who they're selling it to. You're selling a lifestyle to people who will feel effects that you never will, and the negative effects that are not part of your life.
Right.
And the control that you refer to is one that you don't actually experience, because clearly she wears her sports bra in videos, but she's selling that control is love. And so they're selling this idea to women who are then going to be trapped into it. And that's the scary thing and the scary part. And it's sad to see. I hold these women accountable. Definitely the men accountable. But I do hold women accountable who sell a lifestyle that they don't lead, knowing the harm that can come to women who buy what they're selling.
Because they're also selling the notion. I think the harm especially is selling the notion that there are women who exist who actually love this kind of lifestyle. When we saw, even in the Manosphere, the clips from that documentary, that even in these guys who are the figureheads of this horrific movement of men, don't treat that way, and their wives actually would not actually put up with that.
And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that I was going to mention, I got off on a side tangent, but the aspect of I'm going to protect you. They're utilizing the worst cases of misogyny that are inspired by the same ideology. Like, it is the ideology that women should be at home and men should be the providers, and these gender roles that get so mad when women succeed. And then men are lashing out based on that ideology. And then the same ideology is saying, oh, come to us, we'll protect you. From yourselves? Oh, we're a better version of bad. That's what it is. We're I'll control you, but at least, I'll like you sometimes. I'll like that you're a mother. I will protect, like, I might not protect you from me necessarily, but I will protect you when a big bad guy, like, from the dangers of the world that I and my mentality have created. I'll protect you from that. It's like, hey, if you guys stop fucking having an ideology, what would you protect us from? What are the protectors protecting us from, if not men? Men from that ideology, because just plain men without patriarchy and misogyny aren't doing that shit. Right. It is based in these belief systems. So, like, take that away and you'd have nothing to protect us for. But you bank on the violence that you stoke with your ideology to then protect us from. Because the reality is, if that was gone, you'd have nothing to protect.
100%.
There'd be no enemy. Your currency would go to nothing. And that's why that's the sickness of the system. And the thing that infuriates me is it's a self-perpetuating thing. And now they're like, oh, the system that we've done has become volatile. Let's weaponize that volatility and get even more women into it. Yeah. Oh, Lord help us. Well, I think that's about it for today.
There was a lot of rants today from both of us, and I think it's good times.
We're ranting and raving. We love it.
We love it.
Thank you so much for being here. Make sure to check out our socials, check out the Patreon, and other than that, friends, we will see you next.
Find out on our Patreon why I don't have a cast on.
Oh my God! Please find out on the Patreon why his cast is no longer with us.
I'll share it
for those who are not viewing us, Chesko had a cast last week and does not have a cast today. Check the Patreon to find out why.
Love you, everybody.
Love you. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
So grab your popcorn, thank me